All right, welcome. Hello, and welcome to RVA Rapid Transit's Transit Talk. My name is Faith Walker. I am the Executive Director for RVA Rapid Transit, and this is our monthly webinar. This is the webinar where we want to give you the latest that's happening in transit news and transit planning across the Richmond region. And so today, before we get started, I wanted to go over, let me tell you who we are. So those of you who don't know, RVA Rapid Transit, we are a nonprofit here in the Richmond region. We advocate for frequent and far-reaching public transportation. So we want to see buses go more places, buses become more frequent, and then also dignified places to wait. So we want to make sure people have places to sit when they're using the bus, and are covered from the elements. And then also we want to make sure that bus riders have the ability to participate in transit planning and decision making. And then last but not least, we have really centered ourselves around zero fare. And so before I get started, I want to go over some housekeeping. And Stephanie, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen?
Yep.
Oh, the screen is up. All right, thanks. All right. So before we get started, let's go over the housekeeping. So this is a recorded webinar. We want to make sure that we can share this with folks who weren't able to join us. So this will go up on our YouTube page. So if you want to share this with someone else, it'll be have a home there. And so we ask that you stay on mute. So if you have a question or a comment, but maybe we might open it up where you can chat and talk with us because we do have a small group today. So we may leave that open. And then also, and if you don't want to, you can totally just put in the chat #Q and we'll make sure your question get answered. All right, so without further ado, before we get started, I want to go ahead and go over some transit news, what's happening in the news. And so here recently, our news is what's up with the bus. For Transit Equity Day, which takes place on February 4th, this day recognizes the fearless leader, civil rights leader, Rosa Parks. And I believe that's her birthday. And Rosa Transit Equity Day really represents where we're celebrating all things equity and in transit. And it just so happened that that same day, February 4th this year, there were two opportunities for REA Rapid Transit to participate in transit equity and making sure that bus riders and citizens are heard. So for Henrico County, down at the right-hand side, Henrico County is currently conducting their Arrive Alive. They have a mission to significantly decrease fatalities when it comes to pedestrians walking, biking in the Henrico County area. And this was an opportunity for folks to give feedback on that particular planning and what can be done to keep pedestrians safe. So also then on that same day, Stephanie and some other Mobility University graduates had an opportunity to speak at City Council's Planning Commission. I'm sorry, the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission on their agenda was the approval of a bus stop platform. And so because of those comments, that platform was approved. All right. And then also, if you have not heard or if you've heard of microtransit is a door-to-door service that operates in 5 different zones within the region. This is a great opportunity where it allows you to be picked up from your destination and dropped off right in front of it. Okay, it generally works just like Uber, but it's a particular zone. So there's one in Azalea, there's one in New Kent that's coming, I believe. There's one in Elko. There's one in Azalea, and there's another one in Chesterfield County. And so if you have participated in microtransit or have used the service, please help GRTC by responding. Survey respondents have a chance to win a $50 gift card. Also, another opportunity for you to participate in transportation planning is the Plan RVA, the region's planning organization. has a Pathways to the Future. There's their regional symposium for 2025. This is to help craft the 2050 vision plan for public transportation or transportation in general for the region. So you have an opportunity to plan 25 years in advance of what's to occur, or what the region should be looking like when it comes to transit. And so it's going to take place at the Greater Richmond Convention Center from 9:45 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Pie Day. And I believe they're going to have some pie. And it's a free lunch event. Okay, so make sure you mark your calendars to participate in this event, and you have an opportunity to plan for the future or be a part of that process. Okay, so we're all here. I want to bring on and introduce Stephanie. Stephanie is our um, communications and program manager. And where are you, Stephanie? Let me bring you on.
Hey y'all. Yeah, I'm right here.
All right, so let me go ahead and pin you, and then I should pin myself. I didn't pin myself. All right, so Stephanie is our programs and communications, program and community engagement manager. And we're talking about the love month. February is the love month, and we wanted to share the love of transit. And so I created this video a while back, and we just wanted to share that with you today. Okay. So let's see. It's February, the love month, and here are some reasons why I think public transportation is a great place to find love. Have you ever found love driving alone in your car? No. Road rage is usually how we interact with people in cars. Public transportation can foster an atmosphere where face to face social interactions are possible, and research has shown that it benefits mental health. A commute on the bus can give us more opportunities to meet people outside of our network of family, friends, and colleagues. So, Zoom meetings, COVID 19, and telework have limited human interaction and decreased our chances of finding love. So, benefit your mental health, increase your chances of finding love, and ride the bus, y'all. All right, ride the bus, y'all. Y'all may be able to find some love on the bus. It's February. I'm
I
wondering.
also
Oh, sorry, guys. Here are some.
I have to ask too, Faith. Your mask at the end that you're wearing on the bus, did you make that? That was beautiful.
Yes, I made that.
Hmm.
I made that.
Nice.
That was right during the heart of the pandemic, and masks were like rare. You couldn't find a mask in the store, so I was making masks. So has anybody found love on the bus in the comments? If you can comment if you maybe found a date, got a number, or anything, like I
But
want
not
to
just
know.
limited to
Thumbs up.
romantic love.
Romantic love. Maybe you made a connection on the bus. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe, anything. So I'm curious. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Stephanie, and I'll hang out with you during this
Yeah,
process, and we can enjoy these
please
listening
do.
sessions. And yes, so I'll give it away.
Okay. Yeah, so this is one of our favorite, or maybe my personal favorite transit talks that we do. We try to do this each year, where we just compile a bunch of our riders' stories and voices that we have collected over that year. So you're going to hear, I think, about 15 different people's voices today. And so this is part of our Riders Voice program at RVA Rapid Transit. We go out to bus stops, we go out to the downtown transfer station, and then all over the region, wherever there's JRTC bus riders and bus stops, and we have conversations with people waiting at the bus stop. We like to hear people's direct perspectives. We know how incredibly valuable and important lived experience is when we're making transit policies and when we're mapping out what we want this region to look like. We know that transit riders are the number one experts on what they need. So, yeah, let's go to the very first slide. I kind of broke it up into sections. So we'll hear oh, I guess here's a little bit more background on what our Writer's Voice program is. So basically what I just said, it's us going into the communities, into the bus stops. This is a picture of this was before I was on with RVA Rapid Transit. I started working here in 2023. But this is typical. We go to the bus stop, we bring coffee and or tea and or some snacks, water, um, some some information, flyers, things that are going on in the community, especially as it relates to transit. And we show up as a positive presence, and we just we interact with folks that we meet there. We find that gathering these comments and these lived experience, these stories, are so powerful for when we are advocating, say, in GRTC's boardroom for certain changes, frequency changes on routes that are shelters at particular bus stops, things like that. Um, we really just, again, we just love to elevate the rider's voice because, again, they have that lived experience. And so they are the experts. So we also use these comments in things like essays or op-eds that we write, studies and surveys. We're also, like you saw earlier, we go out to the counties as well, and just kind of be that voice. And we love to also bring our advocates along with us when that's possible. But we also know that, a lot of folks riding the bus have full-time jobs and families and like a lot of time constraints. And so to add an extra layer of advocacy on top of that can be really challenging. So that's kind of where we come into. And then you probably follow us on social media. If you don't, please do. We're at RVA Rapid Transit, and we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, and I think we're also on Twitter. Is that true? Is that still a thing?
We're on there, but
Might be a little quiet at the moment, but we
haven't tweeted.
we do what we can. But we make audiograms too. Basically, whenever possible, we always ask for permission first to share our riders' pictures if they allow us to do that. If they allow us to, record their voice, we're always asking for permission. We get their consent, and then we put together their photo and their story, and we share that in the community so that people can just get a little more familiar. Maybe you already know because you do ride the bus. I know some of us here are full-time bus riders, and but some of us aren't. So just get that familiarity going. And that
And
number,
yes,
go
yes.
ahead, please.
Fatima asks, is that at a bus stop? And yes, that is at 4th and Broad Street.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and so this number 804-286-0007. That's actually a hotline that Faith set up a few years ago during the pandemic when she was doing this outreach work. I think you were the only one, right? Like you were the only staffer at the time. Is that true?
Mhm.
Yeah, so she set this hotline up. So this is another way, even if we can't directly reach you at a bus stop or, we missed you that day, if there's ever an experience that you have, a story you have, whatever it be, you can call that number, leave your voicemail, leave your message, and it goes directly to our inbox. So that's another way that we always monitor that. And yeah, so please call that number.
Yes, call it, especially if you found the date on there. That way we can play it next year on our For the Love of Transit. We will really enjoy that. So yeah, please call that number and leave your story or your experience anytime.
Most definitely. And then I just want to shout out too. I think it said we've got 400 since February of 2023. We had like 425 comments that we've collected. So just, that's awesome. Thanks, Kristen. I see the hands, the cheering. All right. Yeah, we can go on to the next slide. Yeah, I know Kristen here is with Plan RVA and she does engagement work as well and outreach work. So I know she's really doing that same type of effort. Faith, I'm gonna let you do this slide because I feel like you put this together and
Okay,
this will kind of
sure.
just set us
So,
up.
so this is a listening session. So I would encourage you to cut off any device and totally focus your attention to what's in front of you. So just listen and then pay attention. Also withhold any judgment. So, you know, by nature, we can be judgmental, but I just want us to just listen and don't judge, right? And then also, for the third thing, we want to reflect. So let's take a look in the mirror. Like, if I were this person, how would I feel? And then also clarify. So you may not be able to clarify, but maybe you can. So maybe you can ask us, hey, did this just like Fatima asked, was this at a bus stop? Was this certain place? So some of these comments myself or Stephanie have taken. So if you need some clarification or if we can help clarify some things, just ask. And then summarize. So in your head, summarize exactly what the person has said to you. So basically, if you were doing a dialogue, you will repeat back what that person said in order for you to acknowledge that you heard them, but also you retain or you got the information. And so, unfortunately, we don't have a dialogue happening right now, but I want you to internalize that summary when you hear these comments.
All right. Faith, do you have the ability to to start the audio? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
All right, perfect. So we're going to start with our first batch of comments. And so this is one of our main advocacy pillars is more buses, more places, which Faith alluded to earlier. We want to see buses, right now it's about 80% of buses are actually going in the city of Richmond. And of course, we've got an incredibly growing region, and we need that region to be like beautifully connected by transit. So we want to see more buses going out to the counties, connecting to these new micro transit zones that are popping up in the counties as well, just so that we can have this seamless movement of people across county lines. So let's hear from our first comment, an anonymous person who rides the 4A.
Like that
And
they made a lot more buses for you to travel out more. They expand the routes, so you can actually go a little bit more further than you could back a few years ago before they did the whole Pulse project. So since then, I mean, transportation wise has increased. Like you can go a little bit further out, you can expand more. People could get to further destinations that they couldn't to before. So I don't know. Now it's better. The only thing one specific thing that I will have to say is certain buses don't have enough buses. So for this one that I just got off before, there's only one bus that runs. Sometimes even not even just this bus, but quite a few of them at certain times they get to a point where they just feel they want to do what they want, and they'll they end stuff early. They won't even start the bus. The bus won't even come around the way. So I mean, it has its ups and downs. That's with everything. But that's that's all I pretty much have, on my input on it.
so that is another key piece to more buses, more places is frequency. So if we have a bus in our neighborhood, but it's only coming every 60 minutes, that makes it pretty challenging to plan your day. And if that particular then one bus is either late or is a no-show for whatever reason that day, it just expounds the stress that people have to go through. So I really liked that comment.
All right.
Let's move on to Janetta.
Yeah, and we're really at bus stops, so you may hear background noise and people
True.
talking. So really hone into that person's voice. All right, so let's hear from Janetta.
My name is Johnetta Robinson. It would be nice to get a bus early in the morning because Uber costs charge us an arm and a leg, and everybody don't have Uber all the time. And I can't get a bus until like after 7 something in the morning unless I work, and that's too much trying when you're standing on your feet, the type of job that I do.
Mm.
So it would be nice to get a bus on the weekend in the area that I live, which is off in Churchill off 25th Street. It's nothing that comes a certain time over that way. And a lot of people have to work on the weekend. That's the hassle. Trying to get back and forth to work on time and you're late.
Mhm. So those weekend schedules can be pretty hard for people who are working.
Yeah.
Hmm. And I agree, Uber does love to charge an arm and a leg.
Yes, very expensive.
Mhm.
I just want to highlight before we go on Wanda, this is the ribbon cutting for the expansion of what route is that?
It is to Virginia Center Commons,
Route
right?
1 route, right? Um,
Mhm.
no,
That's
not
right.
route 1. I can't even think. Yeah, it's route 1.
Mhm.
It's the number 1. Okay. Yeah, so this I was so happy to cut this ribbon. I mean, there were 36 new stops, I believe, along this route. And now this route goes all the way to Virginia Center Commons. So you can see myself. Stephanie is in there, but I think she's cut out. But yeah, that was a pretty powerful opportunity to do. And is Wanda talking
Mhm.
about this route?
I don't think she specifically talks about this route, but that was just an awesome picture I wanted to include
Oh,
just to
yeah.
show some of the expansion that is happening.
Great. All right. So Wanda, let's see. Hear it.
Hello, my name is Wanda Cleveland. I catch the Pulse bus from downtown to go to Willow Lawn. They should have a bus stop at the Pulse right there so we can catch the bus where the 50 sits. The bus is usually late. I live on the south side. Sometimes that 3C does not even show up. So we end up having to call an Uber or we have to walk across the bridge to get to south side. So that's totally not cool. Nope. And if the bus is packed, which that Pulse is packed all the time, they should have a double bus. They should have a bus come back to back. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you, sir.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I really liked Wanda's comment because I've heard from so many different riders that the Pulse needs another stop, and I've heard different opinions about where that stop should be. Some say it should be by Lombardi, so people can get to that Lombardi Kroger. Some people say it should be around kind of in between that stretch between Scott's Addition and Willow
Yeah,
Lawn.
I've heard that too.
Hmm. But then also, y'all know that articulated buses are on the Pulse line are coming. And GRTC actually has their very first one already here. It's landed. It's not quite ready for the road yet, but it's here and they're getting ready to introduce it into the Pulse route, specifically during those daytimes when that Pulse gets so super packed. And I'm sure people on this call know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and those who, if you don't know what an articulated bus is, it's basically a double bus. So it's and it can carry more people. And so it's one of those buses that have like the attachment of the accordion in the back. So basically it's two buses, but connected. And of course it can get loads more people on the bus versus the standard one bus that the Pulse currently has. So,
Mhm.
and I think they're planning to run those articulated buses during the peak times. And so hopefully that will mitigate folks not being able to board during those high times.
Yeah, I think it's 80 people,
80 people?
about 80 people that those articulated buses can hold.
Right. So,
And then I just want to say, I see in the chat, Kristen shared about the Virginia Center Commons that she just saw a bus right out front of Virginia Center Commons when my family went to the movies last week. And I was so happy to see that. That's awesome, Kristen.
yeah.
I want to know what movie you went to. All
Um,
right. So our next pillar is better bus stops. We have this awesome program called Adopt a Stop, which is another way that we advocate and are really out in the communities. So if you're interested in that program, which basically is you would sign up to um, basically be the caretaker of a bus stop, one or as many as you want. You yourself, your family, maybe your church group, your sports team, whatever organization you would want. And you would go out to that bus stop at least once a month and just basically make sure it looks good. Make sure it looks like a place that people would feel dignified to stay waiting for the bus at. So picking up any trash, letting GRTC or RVA Rapid Transit directly know if there's anything hazardous or any issues out there. So you can go to our website and check that out and be in touch with me if you'd like to join us. But this is another one of our main pillars. And some of these photos, before we get to the comments, I'll just touch on. So this one that looks kind of yellow and purple. This has been an amazing effort that RVA Rapid Transit has been doing for the last 3 years, is actually taking thermal photos at bus stops. As we know, obviously, with the climate being as it is, we're seeing hotter summers and for longer times too. And so the impact of a shelter during extreme heat is incredible. We can see a change of like 20 degrees, sometimes more than that, where actually if there is a shelter, it's a cooling center essentially. It really gives off enough shade so that it changes the temperature from like 108-degree day to like a more bearable temperature for people. So that's some of that work. And we also released a report last year, and we're gonna have a transit talk about that. It's called Cooling the Commute. So stay tuned for that. But these are some pictures of bus stops. And we know like if we're riding the bus, we know that not so many of our stops have adequate shelter. So without further ado, let's look at let's start with Deborah.
Deborah Brown. Like I was saying, I ride the Chamberlain Monday through Wednesday. Then there's some bus stops. Seats at 4th and Broad on both sides. Because like I said, when a lot of people get off from work, they're tired and they sit down.
Yeah, I think Deborah shared with me that she works in healthcare. And so, you know, my mother was a nurse for 35 years. Like I know, and she had major back surgery, you know, like I just know the effects of jobs like that where folks are on their feet all day, barely get breaks. And then to have to enter into your commute home, which, you know, for so many people, if you're taking the bus, it takes a lot longer typically to get home. So if you have to have multiple transfers, like how amazing it is to like just have a seat, just have a space that's like a a quiet, easy place that you can just rest for a little bit while you're waiting for that bus. I'll move to Beverly.
My name is Beverly. I ride the 12 bus and the 14 bus Monday through Friday. I also ride other buses. This bus stop at the 23rd and Franklin has no shade or any protection from the rain. I would like to see that fixed. I would like to see it cleaned up around here and the bricks replaced before somebody trips and falls and kills himself.
So that is up at, like she said, 23rd and Franklin, right around the corner from that Farm Fresh grocery store. And yeah, I mean, Beverly tells it like it is. Like there's absolutely no shade. This was a stop, and it sees so many people coming through there a day. It's a really high traffic stop. The 4 A's and B's go through there, the 12s, like anything going up east of the city kind of goes through there, as well as the 14 going through and downtown. And it's just a high, you know, there's a lot going on there. And I think there is one like very small tree, but it doesn't kick off any shade. And so
No.
we've spoken to people who are waiting for the bus actually at the Farm Fresh, are choosing to like walk that 30-second, like a minute, couple minutes to get around the corner so that they can be in air condition. They might miss their bus, right? Because they might not get there in time, but it's worth it to them because it's just so hot out there without any protection. So let's go to Abby.
My name Miss Abby. I'm not a usual bus rider, but I would love it if we all supported covered bus stops. Personally, I live off of Robinson Street in the 5th District, and there are 3 bus stops within walking distance of my apartment, and all 3 of them don't have adequate coverage from severe weather. In one instance, bus riders, when it rains, folks waiting for the bus have waited on my porch in the past because that's the only place they can get out of the rain. So I hope that people support covered bus stops going forward.
I want to give a shout out to Abby because I love that spirit, you know.
Of letting people stand in front of your, on your porch.
Mhm.
And, honestly, this is probably the number one issue when we do outreach that people ask for is coverage stops, if not more expansion, is better bus stops, more shelters, more benches.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's so important. Yeah, let's go to Carlos.
Yes, my name is Carlos. I'm on bus route number 91. And it's hot. It's hot out here. It's very hot, you know what I mean? It's very hot. And the bus stop that I was standing at, it has no shelter. No shelter at all. So what I want to ask the city or whoever controls the bus routes and the bus stops, can we please get some shelter around here? Some trees? Can we get some trees around the bus stop so we can get some shade?
Yeah, we met Carlos out at Willow Lawn. And there is some shelters out there, but not for the 91 where Carlos was standing. And even, it's just these summers again are getting so hot. Last year it was like a consecutive like almost 40 days in a row, right, where temperatures were above 100 degrees. So as a region, we just really need to keep on thinking about what are some really good solutions here. And again, our report, Cooling the Commute, actually comes up with some solutions, looking at other cities from around the world and what they've done and how to keep things cool. And we know trees for sure. Like, I love that Carlos brought up trees because they do so much to cool the air, filter the air and cool the air. So they really, really drop the temperature around them. Anything you wanted to add there, Faith?
No, I would just say check out our report on Cooling the Commute, and we really dive into that. But I would say, and also be looking out for our transit talk around the Cooling Commute, where we'll dive a little bit more deeper into that report.
Yeah, awesome.
But if you're ready,
All
we
right.
can move on to zero fare.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is another one of our main pillars, keeping the bus zero fare, and how incredible that is, how uplifting it is for for all of us, but particularly for our riders who are transit dependent. Those of us who are our only option is the bus for various reasons. And so I chose kind of a different a conglomeration of different voices just to kind of give a good picture of who this program really, really benefits. And it's a lot of different people. So let's start with April.
Okay.
April Diamond. I ride the 1A or the 3A. I'm homeless, so I'm living in a shelter that's in that area. And my son, who's now 26, started riding the bus when he was about 16, I believe, to his first job at King's Dominion. He was a little frustrated about it, but then he got patient about it. And the bus helps me so I can go to find resources so I can have somewhere to live. And it's not a bad experience, but I think they should just wait on bringing the fare back because housing is so high, and we barely have money for to live, and then we have to catch the bus to work, doctor's appointments, and everything. Yes.
Well, she summed it up all right there. I mean, you know, one of the things and the reasons why we got behind Zero Fare as an organization is in 2021 and 2022, when we were looking at our ridership within the Richmond region, you know, the pandemic caused transit agencies across the entire world to not offer fares or go fare free to cut down on the spread of COVID-19. And then, of course, a lot of people were able to work from home. And so we are looking at Richmond, and, the question was, why is Richmond ridership? It did decrease, but it did not decrease at the level of other transit agencies around the nation. And our ridership was totally dependent upon the people who did go to work every day and had to go to work every day, which is essential workers. And so right now, a large population, or predominantly the most people who use public transportation, are the folks who fed our grandmothers when we couldn't visit them during the pandemic, the folks who kept the essential spaces clean, also, and restocked. And so, as we all know, we are experiencing some of the highest inflation rates when it comes to food prices, gas prices, and rent. And we know that a lot of these employers or employees, they were getting a boost in their income. So this is a backdoor boost in folks' wages. And so we realized, hey, this is also a way to get more people on the bus. So post-pandemic, the Richmond region is seeing ridership higher than ever before. Last year, our region reached over 1 million rides per day. We weren't doing that. I think Hampton Roads was doing that long before we ever did that. I mean, we're hitting unprecedented numbers, and that's because of Zero Fare. And I think more people are riding the bus because it's free, but also they just can't afford a car or to do anything else. So thank you, April, for that comment.
Yeah, I love that. And it brings to mind too the justice piece of Zero Fare, of how powerful it is. And I was just so touched by April because of like just how hard, when you speak with people, you really get a sense of their lives and what they go through every day. How hard she's trying, right? How she's doing so much for herself, for her son. And like you heard, like you could just hear like that she's a little bit tired, right? And I get it. And when we think about people who are experiencing like houselessness and poverty, or like people who work for low wages, are essential workers, like you were saying, Faith. Like a lot of that is built on extraction in our society, where if a person's making low wages, they actually end up, usually, if there are fares, they have to end up paying more in fares than people who make more, because they get into a situation where, say you were spending the $60 for a monthly pass, an all rides monthly pass. They can't afford that, so then they have to pay per trip. And if you're someone who has to get to multiple appointments all throughout the city every day, and you've got family members who are trying to do that too, you're ending up paying more out of pocket. So that means our people who are making less money end up paying more in fares. So we really think about the justice piece of Zero Fare as well, and how it protects populations and people who just need support, instead of extra extraction on their incomes. And then I'll just throw this comment out, or this quote, that's from Dr. Cornell West, that I think is really appropriate for this whole conversation. But basically what he says is that justice is what love looks like in public. So for the love of transit, let's keep it free.
That's it right there. All right, let's go over to Janasia. Oops. Because we have about 15 minutes to go. So let's get.
Man.
My name is Janasia. I just think the bus routes like should be free also. Like don't go back to paying. Just be free because it's better free. Just in case your mom don't want to take you nowhere, you have a free bus to take and go places. But I be taking 1A, 1B, 1C, 38. I take all the buses everywhere for real, just to get out the house more.
I'm glad this comment was back to back because April mentioned that she had a 16-year-old son. Janasia, I believe, is a teenager as well. And so this gives young people autonomy to have jobs, have a life outside of their parents, drive them around. And I know parents want their children to experience curricular activities as well as jobs. And that really depends on a lot of parents being able to take them places. But if they can ride the bus, wow, so much freedom is in that. So yeah, thank you,
Mhm.
Janasia.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move on to twin.
All right.
Her friends got between the bus should stay free, I believe, because a lot of people that's looking for jobs just come home like myself, and it's easier on them, and it's easy for homeless people who don't have no money who need to get to where they need to go to. It's convenient. I guess I've been taking the bus now for about 2 months. I've been going 15 years, so I'm learning the bus all over again. So me not having to pay is having me get more adaptive to how it works.
Yeah. So our returning citizens, just everybody, we can all be uplifted by this program. I want to keep on moving so that we can hear more comments. And,
What about
and
Dot? You want to mention this
oh
comment?
yeah, yeah, I do actually. All right, let me pull this up. So Dot's audio was a little bit spotty, but I was like, her comment's so good. I'm just gonna read it for y'all, okay? So she says, I ride the ones mostly in 7A. I do it because I don't drive anymore. Not being able to drive hasn't affected me too much, though, because most of the buses are on time and the drivers are very respectable and helpful. They're good. The bus being free is even better. I like that. I've only been back here since November, and it's great not having to pay that bus. I can go more places. And now they can go to different cities. It's a lot cheaper, especially for us seniors, especially having to use a walker. It's very convenient. Unless you're going to come by and pick us up, take us where we need to go, especially again, the seniors, then leave it alone. Leave it like it is. And she's talking about zero fare. Yes, because it's a good thing. It's a really good thing.
Oh, wow. That was awesome comment.
Yes, and I love that you presenced the grandmothers earlier, talking about the the essential workers. But it's so true, right? Our young people, our elders, just like
Yeah.
so many people really, really benefit from this.
And 24% of bus riders are 55 and up. So there's a large, like a quarter of bus riders are reaching our seniors. And so this is so important that we keep it free because a lot of them are on fixed incomes. All right, so we're going over to Rel
Mhm.
and let's hit play.
My name is Rel. I'm riding the bus for the first time today because my wife is using the car. We share a car, and when I got to work, they advised me to go to the hospital, so I'm headed to Richmond Community Hospital. And the bus line, it's taking me there for free.
Awesome.
I really liked that, that piece. He and his wife share a car. I felt like that was nice love mention. Yeah, let's go on to this person, also anonymous, but he calls himself a Cancer, so his astrological sign. So let's hear from him.
I love the bus. And I love the city. The people we make, what I mean, when you ride around the city like me, taking all the buses, Richmond wouldn't be Richmond without the people. Like it's so much diversity. And I don't think, sometimes I think the bus drivers, sometimes they don't get enough respect, and sometimes they be I know it's early or this or that, but I go to work and don't want to do construction, wet and stuff. But they gotta learn how to communicate and be more patient because older people be getting on the bus, and I feel like they don't give them time enough to get themselves situated. Dangerous. I think that's the only thing I think that. But other than that, it's good, and they need to raise how to do something about the roads because the buses are freaking the roads up. Yeah, you can see it downtown, like it's messing the roads up. I think they need to try to stay on top of that. But everything else, I love the bus. The people I meet. That's why I say the diversity. Like I don't judge the book by its cover. So like I'm a Cancer. I'm kosher with not talking to them all day long. Staying to myself. I'm a crab, so I hide in my shell. Like that's how I do. I stay to myself. But the buses made me like open up and talk to different people. It's make me. I don't know. It's different.
Wow, I love that comment, Stephanie.
Mhm.
That's what we're talking about, like more connections on the bus. Because when you're in a car, you're just in a car by yourself. You don't have the opportunity to have those connections. So that was a great comment.
Yeah, and you're a Cancer too, right?
Yeah. All right. Should we go to Tavares?
Yeah, yeah.
Help me out on the second one. My name's Tavaz. Man, you got to ride the bus. It is the best, man. It gets you to point A, point B. It's free. And the ones that don't like driving their cars and scared to go across them red lights, get on the bus. It's the best thing smoking for you right now. It's the best thing happening for people. Oh, and it get me to work, get me home to my family, and it's the best thing to do right now. Get on the bus. It's ready for you.
Get on the bus. I love it.
It's ready for you. I know I always thought JRTC should hear this one and they should I don't know, find Tavares and give him an advertising deal or something.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get Linda. Oops.
Yeah, let's hear Linda. Linda's got a little love for the bus drivers in this comment. So I thought that was good to include too.
This is Linda, and it's beautiful hump day. I ride the 20, the 78, the 50, and the 5. And I'm just thankful that the bus drivers show up with all the transitions. You know, we can't keep enough drivers on route, but they're doing the best they can and they're doing a great job. And I'd like to commend them on that.
That's awesome.
Yes, Linda. Yeah. And then one thing like I want to point out before we move off this slide is up in that right-hand corner. There's a local artist called the Almighty Mill from Richmond, Virginia. And last October, he put out a new album that you should totally check out. So I just want to give him some props because he has a lot of love. He has a lot of love for the bus too. His album is called The 6th Street Marketplace, and the third track on that album is called GRTC. I'm not going to play a snippet because that's copyright infringement. I don't have his permission, but if you're watching The Almighty Mill, please connect with us. We love your song. It's on Apple Music, so you can find it that way. And he's on Instagram. He's got a link tree. And the song, I do want to quote it though, so I'm going to read a quote real quick from it. And it says, I dedicate this to the persons that done paved the way, the public transportation, and the services that made a way. We appreciate you. To go to work or go to school or just to go through the highs and lows traveling this road, go with the flow. Something simple as a bus ride can even show it ain't about the destination, it's the journey that you chose. So I thought that was beautiful.
Yes, that was awesome. So, we're gonna open it up to maybe some comments, some questions. You guys can go off mute. We just have a small, intimate crowd. And then we'll open it up for about 3 minutes and then close up. So, if there's anything that stuck out to you, anything you want to comment on or have questions about, we welcome you to do so now.
Hi, Kristen here. Can you hear me? I think so.
Yes.
I just want to say that hearing the voices of people just brings such a texture and a realness to these issues. We can talk about, solutions, but I think, you know, the voices of the people who are actually using the services it's just so critical. And then coming back to maybe talk to them later about, if they've seen improvements. It's such a it doesn't take a lot of time, but it actually takes trust to get people to want to share their stories with you. And so I just commend you all for taking the time, and I'm sure that was a bright spot in their day, being able to be asked. And even just the consideration of, the seniors, someone observing that seniors might not have enough time to get settled on the bus, that is going to stick with me. So thanks so much for sharing these.
Yes, thank you. And
Thank you,
Jackie, I
Kristen.
see your hand raised. Go right away.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I just echo Kristen's comment that I also love hearing this. And when I ride the bus, I reflect a lot on how it exposes you to so many different people. And it's just such a social experience.
Mhm.
And I think it allows you to experience the city and the community in so many different ways. And I love that about it. But I did want to ask too, and if this isn't the proper venue, I'd love to talk about it offline, but I am curious how federal funding has maybe affected things like the expansion of the Pulse or just general bus service, and whether there's things we can raise at the city with the budget process or something like that kind of could try to fill some of those gaps. But I'd love to hear anything you're aware of.
Right. So as of right now, I know GRTC implemented a application for a raise grant for the downtown transfer station. And so those of you who don't know, basically currently the downtown transfer station is just a flat surface, open and exposed, but hopefully the grant is to create a downtown permanent transfer hub where it will be covered, and then on top above it, it will be a mixed use where it can offer affordable housing and things like that. Because of the recent freezes or holds on a lot of applications, I think that's at a standstill. I think they applied, but there's just a hold on it right now, as of right now, and I haven't heard anything new as to that being released or that hold being released. So an application is in play, but as of right now, we don't know when and if those funds will come through. And then on the city level, I know Stephanie is working on something right now, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, so there are a number of kind of environmental justice groups or groups that do similar work to us that are really trying to uplift particular communities. And we're trying to coalesce basically to get on the same page so we can be a little bit more powerful when it comes to advocating for our budgets. So this is kind of happening actually in Richmond and as well as Henrico County. So if you're interested in that, these things are kind of just beginning, I will say, especially in Richmond, but groups like Southside Relief, Sierra Club, as well as C3. And then, we're hoping to make more connections as we continue. Like I said, it's pretty new, but we basically want to get on the same page so we can go to the city council and be like, hey, these are our specific asks that reflect like responsible climate action as well as responsible equity practices, regardless of what's going on, at a federal level. But like, how can we focus on our locales? So like one example is we're hoping that the city of Richmond will increase its budget to like its funding for GRTC to not only maintain free fare, maintain zero fare, because that's a really important piece, but also to help support its GRTC's expansion of routes. So we're looking, we would like to see the city of Richmond increase the amount of funding that they pledge every year to GRTC. So that's one example. And we're going to continue to talk about this stuff. So please get in touch with me And just stay tuned because there will be more coming out about it. So great question.
All right, well, thank you everyone for your questions. We're gonna go ahead and start wrapping up. We did want to let you know that we do have an upcoming, we won't have a transit talk in the month of March. In addition to, we want to invite you to Plan RVAs. Of course, we share with you their long-range transportation planning on Pi Day. And that's from 9 to like 3:30 during the day. But if you cannot make that event, we have something the following week that's after hours. So if you want to participate in the long range transportation planning as well, but those hours might not suit you, we do have an event that RVA Rapid Transit is hosting at Plan RVA on Tuesday, March 25th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. So it's at 424 Hall Street, Richmond, Virginia 23224. And we've placed that registration link on our website. So if you visit www.rvarapidtransit.com and then you hit our events page, it'll take you to this link here and you can register for this. Okay. So if you can't make it to Pi Days event, then please attend this Tuesday, March 25th event. All right. And then last but not least, ride the bus. You see how how you heard so much incredible stories about how the bus connects us. So we advise you to support transit by using transit. Also, please become an adopter, sponsor a bus stop. So if there's a bus stop in front of your church, home, organization that you can adopt, please reach out to Stephanie or myself to get you started. But also share your story. So again, you can call 804-286-0007 to share your story or leave a comment on your experience of using the bus. But also, last but not least, please donate. Donations help us continue to do the work that we do, continue to provide incredible service, but also continue to show up at bus stops and ask riders and input their comments into public comment opportunities like at GRTC board meetings. So without further ado, thank you again for visiting us, for having a conversation at bus stops today. And thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks everyone so much for coming. Appreciate you.